Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Osasu Show. Whether you live in the South-South, Southeast, Southwest, North Central, Northeast, Northwest, we can all agree that there's a growing rate of insecurity in the nation. On today's program, we speak to those in charge right here at the headquarters of the Nigerian Police Force to ascertain why this is going on and what we can do to curtail it. Don't go anywhere, it promises to be a very engaging interview. Welcome back to the Osasu Show. Joining me now is Mr. Frank Umba, the first PRO of the police force. Thank you so much for joining us in today's program.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What would you attribute to the rising insecurity in the nation as of today? I mean, the Nigerian Security Tracker, which is the Council on Foreign Relations, recently released a damning report on the police force and the other security agencies that since 2011 till date 2020, the cumulative deaths of Nigerians has increased per thousands.
First of all, let me admit to the fact that indeed there are security challenges in this country. But just as we are facing this enormous challenges in this part of the world, there also appears to be a general trend towards the globalization of crime. As a matter of fact, Nigeria is not alone in these challenges. If you track crime trends and patterns globally, and you also pay particular attention to what is happening in the ECOWAS sub-region, for example, you look at what is happening in the Sahel region, and you look at what is happening even in Northern Africa, you will see these global rise in crimes and criminality, particularly narcotic-related crimes, crimes that are rooted in violence, increasing rate of homicide, terror-related deaths. And these are not just happening in Africa. If you look at even the industrialized and the highly developed countries, you will see this repeated incidents of mass attack and mass killings going on, even in states, even in countries like United States, where repeatedly lone wolves get out of control and engage in massive, senseless, and sometimes unexplainable killings of people.
Yes, I'm glad
in
you mentioned
schools, at bus stops,
okay,
in nightclubs, at shopping malls. So this trend clearly shows that just as we are enjoying the positive influence, positive impact of globalization on trade, commerce, IT, and other related fields, the world must be ready to also deal with the negative impacts of globalization. As we see, Nigeria is facing its own share of these challenges. But in our part of the world, the challenges are further exacerbated by some deep-rooted factors such as unemployment, factors such as educational, economic, and political exclusion, factors such as the widening gap between the rich and the haves and the have-not, and then the endemic impact of poverty. And so, while the the law enforcement community, led principally by the police, are doing what is necessary to combat these crimes. Our political leaders must also be involving and implementing social intervention programs that will also help to deal with the root causes of some of these problems.
I'm glad you've talked about the impact of globalization on insecurity on all the different nations of the world. However, when we see insecurity in more developed countries like the United States of America or the United Kingdom or even China, within 24 hours, we have some sort of data or statistics or information on these crimes, on these perpetrators of these crimes. But in Nigeria, thousands of people get away perpetrating crimes daily without any information or without any recourse of the law meted out against them. So what is the police force doing in terms of intelligence gathering to ensure that you can further predict and curtail the rise of crime around the nation?
I am glad you are drawing a very beautiful comparison, and you are juxtaposing what the things that are happening in this developed world and things that are happening in Nigeria. And if you want to assess the policing capacity of the NPF, you must also do that within the context and confines of the environment within which we operate. And so, for example, if I am policing the city of London, for example, or I am policing the city of New York, for instance, or any of the developed countries, certain infrastructure and logistics and certain networks are placed at my disposal. So, for instance, I have access to updated and modern database, crime database, the profile of practically all members, all sectors of the population of my country. I have access to cameras that are working 24/7 and never going to sleep. I have access to so many logistics and working tools. But if I'm policing some other parts of the country where I don't have access to these modern crime fighting tools, modern data management tools, modern crime prevention tools, then my ability to track, to follow up, to arrest are not totally hampered, but they are impaired.
So I wonder whose fault is that, because I'm looking at a report right now that says the military police to spend 91% of its budget on salaries. So if you are not proposing, budgetary provisions that will cause you to buy or to acquire equipment like this to do proper surveillance, then where does the onus of the blame necessarily fall?